welcome to Horror Rewind. This is Kelly Florence.
And this is Mark Florence.
And today we're doing our 2019 recap and our look ahead to 2020. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas and happy holidays to everybody out there. It's been a great year.
I cannot believe how many horror movies we saw in the theater this year and streamed. But when I was going through the list of top ranked horror movies, I was like, holy crap, we've seen a lot of these. So I think we need to buy stock in our local movie theater.
Yeah, every time I go there to buy concessions, they're like, do you want to use your points on the card? So I know Kelly really goes to the movies a lot.
Hey, but you know what? That's why you got to be part of those point systems, because you get free movie tickets, you get free concessions, and I should say, too, mainly we go to the $5 movie night because I'm a faculty member at a local college, and we get $5 movies. Well, I think they're $6 now, but still, that's a pretty good deal.
It's a great deal. I don't know what else to say. It's a great deal.
So we are going to talk about these in order of the ones that we saw, and then their ranking from lowest tomato meter, so on Rotten Tomatoes, the critic consensus, to the most. And most of these you've seen, Mark. Some of them you haven't, and I'll fill you in. But ranking with 63% this year was one of my favorite horror movies of the year, Child's Play. What did you think of this reboot?
I really liked it. I'm trying to go back in my memory. When did we see this?
It came out this summer, remember? And it was June. And Chucky is not the old Chucky. He is actually robotic. He's animatronic. He has connection to all sorts of technology now, and through the cloud, and he can control those drones and everything. This movie really surprised me because it took this franchise in a new direction that I absolutely loved. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was good. I'm thinking back to the old ones, and yeah, the new way they utilized technology with him was pretty cool to update Chucky for 30 years later.
You know, so it's funny because like the original Child's Play, we've talked about this on the podcast. It is a little bit creepy and scary, but Chucky isn't that scary because especially as he goes on in the franchise, he's just sort of cheeky and that's fine. But I really like this new Child's Play. It's actually, of course, it still has that humor, but it's actually kind of scary too, because can you imagine? We have a lot of these toys now that are connected to the cloud. What if they all come to life and kill us, Mark?
Yeah, I was just outside flying a drone that my son had got for Christmas, and I, of course, ran it into the fence and into the tree. So, I mean, imagine what Chucky could do with that.
It's not good, especially if he attaches blades to it. I think that happened in the movie. So next up, tied at 63%, was It Chapter 2. I loved the first It. I liked this one, but it felt a little bit too long for me. Do you remember seeing this in the theater? It was a little bit long.
Was this the one where I was like, I thought it was almost over because I had to go to the bathroom, and you're like, no, there's an hour left?
No, that was Dr. Sleep, but this may have happened during that movie too.
I think that happens during most movies for me.
So It Chapter 2, it was good, but it wasn't great. You didn't see Annabelle Comes Home. This is one of the Annabelle movies. This is ranked at 64%. Campbell and I saw it. We really enjoyed it. It also came out right around that time of Child's Play. Happy Death Day 2. What a fun horror comedy. This was ranked 70%. And if you haven't seen it, I know some people were like, oh, this isn't as much horror. You know, it's more like gore comedy. Well, if you're a horror fan, you're going to love it anyway. So I recommend it. Now,
I saw that that was on. I could have watched it on the airplane the other day, but I didn't. Just so I throw that in there.
Well, you should have, because it's good. So now here's the one where you definitely had to go to the bathroom during the last hour. Dr. Sleep ranked at 77%. I absolutely loved this movie. And here's a little tidbit. If you haven't been on social media, go check out my and Meg's new tattoos. We got the Grady girls from The Shining, and we each have one standing on the carpet, the iconic carpet, so that when we stand next to each other, they'll be holding hands. And it's our idea of a best friends tattoo.
Yeah, those tattoos are just sweet. So yeah, go check them out.
Thank you very much. Now, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. This was ranked 75%. And this was a fun one that you and I got to see together. You weren't slated to come see this with me, but Campbell was sick that night. And so guess what? You got to see this creepy AF movie.
I really liked this one. I think it was the one where they were like writing in the... It was like right in the story that what would happen and you couldn't get out of it. So yeah, no, that was really, really enjoyable.
And again, so I know I'm always talking about how people are mad, but some people were not happy that it was rated PG-13. But remember, these were intended for kids, and I think it's an absolute gem of a gateway horror movie to get kids into horror. You know, that it's not so gory, but it's still scary. I think that some of it's legitimately scary AF, but also, yeah, let kids be able to go see some horror movies.
I agree. Yeah, now that I remember what you're saying about the PG-13 is there wasn't much blood or anything in the movie, so they use creative ways to still be scary but not be like gory.
Now, this summer in July, Crawl came out, and it's ranked 83%. And it seems really high for this random creature feature, but guess what? It is great. It's during a hurricane. This area is flooding. This girl goes in to help save her father, and guess what? There's giant alligators that are killing people. So, I mean, what more do you want?
I didn't see this, but yeah, that sounds really good and sounds a lot like Snakes on a Plane. So
no, it's so much better than that. I promise you. 83%. It's got to be, right?
Better than Snakes on a Plane? Come on.
Okay. Now, also ranked at 83% was Midsommar, which we also saw this summer, and we enjoyed it, but. We didn't, if you remember our critique, it was sort of built up too much for us. And so we weren't blown away by it, but 83%, I think that's a pretty accurate, of my feelings. How did you feel about Midsommar? You didn't talk about it on the podcast.
I did not see Midsommar, but
whoa, my gosh.
I really want to see it though. So maybe it's probably out on streaming or something now. So I'll check it out.
You know what? It is coming to Prime, I think, in January, so we will be able to stream it for free. Now, Ready or Not, we also saw in the theater this summer, 88%. This is the new bride. They say we have to play a game on the first night of your marriage. I mean, it sounds a little weird, but whatever. But guess what? They're trying to kill her, and what a fun movie that was.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Now that I'm thinking back, it reminds me kind of Knives Out with the rich family and the big mansion. But yeah, really fun, really entertaining, kind of a popcorn movie, and a little overly gory at the end, if I remember.
Yes, and I think that you went through the whole movie thinking that was Margot Robbie, and it's not.
Yeah, who is it again?
Well, now I can't remember her name. You put me on the spot. But yeah, it's not Margot Robbie. Lastly, the highest ranked horror movie that we saw this past year was Us, Jordan Peele. It's 93%. Now, I know you did see this one. So what are your thoughts on Us?
Us was amazing. That was the one where they're out in L.A. and the girl at the fair. Yeah, that was really, really good. Really, like creepy when the Us people show up at their house and they're like, what do they all wear? White? All
those
white.
red. No, they're wearing those red jumpsuits.
That's what it was, yeah.
They have the scissors. It's just so wrong. Yeah. I love it.
No, yeah, that was outstanding movie.
Now, some other movies that we saw this past year that we have episodes on the podcast that didn't rank as high on the tomato meter, but we enjoyed. Campbell and I saw Brightburn. It's sort of a horror version of the Superman origin story. Pet Sematary 2019, The Curse of La Llorona, 47 Meters Down Uncaged, Escape Room, and The Prodigy. All of them, we had fun, and not all of them are spectacular, but you can check out our reviews on previous episodes from this past year. Now, there was a lot of horror going on, not just in the theater, but also streaming and on TV. Now, we didn't watch everything this past year that was on TV. We both started Nosferatu. I ended up finishing it and you didn't. But I mean that was pretty good in the beginning, right?
Yeah, what's his name? Sylar or Kyler from Heroes?
Oh boy, it's Zachary Quinto.
He's good. So yeah, I felt like it kind of like repetitive or like kind of lost its traction for me. So I think that's why I stopped watching it. But
yeah, the momentum did slow down a bit, and so we fell off. We also started Creepshow. We just haven't had time to catch up with it. We did end up finishing American Horror Story 1984.
Yeah, that was really, really good. We were wondering how they could have the whole thing at the camp, and they really kind of did and kind of didn't. So they got pretty creative about how they could stay there the whole time, but still go elsewhere in the world. But it all came down to there at the end. This
was the first season in a long time that we actually watched the entire season, finally, of American Horror Story. So, yeah, it kept our attention. I watched Chambers and Marianne on Netflix, two other horror streamers that I would recommend. And then, of course, on CBS All Access, we watched The Twilight Zone this year. Did you end up seeing every episode, Mark?
I believe so, yeah.
And that was, one of the highlights of the shows that we enjoyed this year. Now, guess what? We have a lot to look forward to in the coming year. In 2020, right off the bat, next week, Mark, we are seeing The Grudge. It's I don't know if it's considered a reboot or maybe just another movie within this universe, but John Cho is in it, and we love him. Are you excited?
I'm stoked.
It's going to be creepy. Remember we saw the preview the other night, and it's like he's shampooing his hair and the hands coming out of the back of his skull?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Now, I'm also excited. There's some other sequels or, things happening within that world. A Quiet Place Part 2 is coming out. We've been watching John Krasinski tweet about it, and they've wrapped it. Oh, and we finished his show, too. What was that? I was going to say John Ryan. Jack Ryan, right?
Yeah, just a quick thing about The Quiet Place. He actually started doing that on an Office episode when he got jinxed. And he couldn't buy a Coke, so he had to be quiet all day. So that was probably good training for the movie.
Nice. The Conjuring 3 is coming out. The first two Conjuring movies I really enjoyed. It really scared me. This new movie with Kerry Russell called Antlers. If you remember the preview, Mark, if you saw this one, it's the little boy telling the story, and something is wrong in his house, and like Kerry Russell's his teacher. Ooh, it looks really creepy. Gretel and Hansel, a reimagining of that classic fairy tale. The next Halloween sequel is coming out. It's called Halloween Kills. I thought he was dead, but guess what? He must not be.
He never dies as long as you keep making money at the box office.
There you go. The Invisible Man with Elizabeth Moss looks amazing. Underwater with Kristen Stewart, this creature that they unearth when they're drilling underground. And then two Jordan Peele movies are coming out, and I cannot wait. The reboot of Candyman, or a continuation. We're not sure what to call it yet, but I am so ready. And then this movie that we're just getting hints of, called Antebellum, looks absolutely incredible. And that preview, it's showing me just enough where I have no idea what's going on, but I cannot wait.
Yeah, I'm excited for the new year, and I'm sure we'll sprinkle in some old classics as well.
Exactly. That's the best part about Horror Rewind, is that we are able to revisit the past movies and then also, look towards the future and the current era in our fast forward episodes or fast forward sections. Now, we had an amazing 2019. Of course, this was the year Meg's second novel came out, and then our first nonfiction book, The Science of Monsters, came out in this past October, and we were so thankful. It's been an awesome ride. And we have two books coming out in 2020. And so right away in February, we have The Science of Women in Horror. And that's Women in Horror Month. Like, how perfect is this? And guess what? We're going to be at the Women in Horror Film Festival in Atlanta, Georgia in February.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I don't get to go though.
Yeah, you don't get to go, but I'm going to send you lots of pictures from the warmth of Atlanta.
Sounds awesome.
And then next October, just in time for Halloween, we have The Science of Stephen King. We are revisiting the source material, the novels, and the short stories, and talking about the science that inspired or that is related to all of those classic Stephen King books. And so get ready, because there's some surprising things coming out in that book that you may not be expecting. Mark, do you have any horror wishes or thoughts from this past year or looking towards the future?
I just hope they keep coming out with these great movies. I'd like some more original movies, maybe not sequels like that Antlers one, or just some new stuff,
Yeah, exactly. I'm all about original movies. Well, that was the big thing about Knives Out when it came out, and the critics were loving it so much, is they're saying, hey, guess what? This isn't based on any source material. It's an original script. It's not a reboot. It's not a sequel, and that's pretty rare these days. And so, you kind of take it for granted when it's like, oh yeah, I haven't seen this before. So, let's get some more original stories out there.
I just think Hollywood gets too scared to go original because they think it might flop. But if you want to be true like us and what was the other one Jordan Peele made?
The Get Out?
Yeah, and Get Out. Like, those are originals, and they're just like groundbreaking. So let's do more of that.
I agree so much you don't even know. So let's wish each other a happy holidays, happy new year. Horror Rewinders, we are so thankful that you're listening. And on behalf of Meg too, she's not here to record this episode, but I know she would also wish you all the best in the coming year. And until next time, we will see you in the horror section.
Bye.